Hello friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today is a beautiful, very crisp October morning here in North Carolina. It finally feels like fall. We were like at 40 degrees this morning. It is glorious. So Miss Brenna and I are going to spend some time here in the Emperor One bed. It is time to go ahead and transition to this bed from its summer plantings and prep it for fall. So there's some basic things that we're going to do today. So as I always say, if I was doing it in my garden, I figure you probably need to do it in your garden as well. So if you have those beds that maybe still have their summer plantings and they just need to have a little bit of love, hopefully you will find this informative and helpful and inspirational and just a lot of fun as we spend a beautiful, glorious October morning here in the garden. So let me show you what we're going to do. It is rather simple, and thankfully this bed is rather small. So we're going to be working in this area. I call it the Emperor One bed because we have an Emperor One Japanese maple. So all the way up to the arch, the rose arbor, and then we're going to stop. Everything else is another day. So what we're going to do is, number one, we're going to go ahead and come in and pull out the summer annuals. Basically what I have in here is this, as far as the summer annuals will be, I've got caladiums. So caladiums stop growing and do not grow over 50, if it gets below 50 degrees. We were 40 degrees this morning, so their time is done. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull them out. They will not be perennials for me if I leave them in the ground. I also have areas of some sun patients. So the sun patients, they don't like it cold, although they're looking pretty perky this morning, but I'm gonna be here in this bed, so we're gonna take those out as well. So really here on the front, it is the caladiums and then the sun patients. And then back behind Emperor One, we have got some angelonia, some salvia, and then you can't see it, but over here are the annual agastaches. So we're gonna take those out as well. So number one, get all the annuals out. Number two, as you find them, take out the weeds. Yeah, y'all, I don't care where you live, unless you're in like complete total desert that you get no moisture whatsoever, and maybe even then you get them. But everybody has weeds. It is a part of gardening, so we're going to pull them as we see them. If you see a weed, pull a weed. We're going to go ahead and clean up some of our perennials. So like my serendipity allium, you can see where we have the old stalks, and I would suspect if I just I give them a little pull and they literally just come right out. I have beautiful foliage down there, so we're just going to clean all these up. I see more weeds down in here, so we're going to get those all cleaned up. And then also, you know, gardening is always fun, right? So it was late winter. I mean, it was still winter, so none of the perennials had popped up yet. Jerry and I were in here, we planted the pufferfish, and then we planted some 3 of the Sunjoy barberries, the bright chartreuse ones, right? So when we did that, one, you really can't see them because the annuals are kind of taken over here. But do you see this barberry coming up in the middle of the the baptisia? Yeah. Well, let's take a little journey over here, shall we? So when we come over here, you will see that the barberry is basically planted right beside of the baptisia. Well, you may go, Jenny, that was about the dumbest thing ever. Why did you do that? Well, like I said, it was wintertime, and the baptisia was showing no signs of life because they'll die completely back to the ground. I did not know that the baptisia was right there because, as my husband says, sometimes I have the memory of a gnat. I knew that there was a baptisia around there somewhere. Praise the Lord, we didn't try to put the shrub right on top of the baptisia. So we're going to move that. We're going to fix that today, and that's when we take out the sun patients right here. That will really open up this area, and the caladiums, and so I can adjust that accordingly. And then again, sometimes I just make my husband shake his head, bless his heart. He's a great man who puts up with me really, really well. We're gonna plant some pansies, and I got them out of the greenhouse this morning, and he was in there watering, and he was like, what happened to not planting any fall color? And I was like, I know, I just cannot help myself. So we have got some beautiful blue pansies that we're gonna plant around in this bed. So it's just gonna be a great, crisp, crispy, fun morning here in the garden. And then we're gonna do this, and then I'm gonna tell you what else needs to be done in this area, and the reason that I am not doing it yet. So what I'm going to do is just have some fun. I'm going to pull Johnny, the John Deere, around so that way I can dump all of my material in the back of it. But I'm going to pull out the annuals and the weeds. After that, I'll meet you right back here. All right, my friends, so I don't know about you, but it is so satisfying to me to get a bed like cleaned up. Clean, neat, and tidy is 100 times better than like overcrowded and just like tired looking, right? I would rather there be no plants in there and it's neat and tidy than it filled with too much stuff and it just looks messy. Does that make any sense? Especially this time of year. And this time of year, ruthless Jenny comes out and I'm just like, you know what? You've had your time and now you're gonna go to bed and somebody else is gonna come through and we're going to go into a season of rest. I love that the Lord gives us these seasons in the garden and in life. And I find it very, very relatable. Fall and winter, seasons of rest. Rest for the garden, rest for the gardener. And so pulling out those annuals just makes me, it just makes me feel good. And so it looks so much neater and tidier already, and the garden is much more open. Brenna is enjoying herself. She loves this cold weather. German Shepherd, she would rather have it -10 than 90, right? I mean, she loves it cold. She is quite frisky these days, but cutting back some of the perennials, right? Getting all the caladiums and then the sun patience, get them pulled out. It was super, super easy to clean up these serendipity alliums. All I had to do was simply just pull out those dead stems, right? So it was really easy to do. It makes a world of difference as far as how it looks. Sometimes, and for a long period of time, the green foliage of the serendipity allium will stay green for me. And so it's not until like January, February that even this will start to die back. So it's a kind of a semi-evergreen, I would say, here in the garden. And then back in the back throughout, I have a ribbon of phlox that is there. And so all I did was come in and just trim it to the ground, and it kind of runs through the bed in this direction. Now, I also came along, right, and just got all of this cleaned up. As I saw a weed, I pulled a weed, right, and just get it all neat, all nice and tidy. So what, and the sun, of course, is now not going to cooperate with us very much. So what is on the list of things to do now? So we've got a couple of things. One, we're going to move this barberry. So this is the Sunjoy citrus, and honestly, y'all, that is some bright sun. So you can see it better now that the annuals are out. So we've got 2 here, and then you can see this guy back here. I'm going to dig him up, and I'm going to go ahead and put him here in the front. So we're going to have a trio, and I can bring this forward because we have the lemon coral sedum, which is magnificent and lovely. And so it will be just fine to bring that citrus and put it right here in the center. I will not thinking, okay, so let me get my train of thoughts together so I'm not mumbling here. As I am going through my fall garden and I am looking at things and I am evaluating. So one, like with those annuals, the reason that we had like those annuals kind of jam-packed in here was it was like probably like less than 2 weeks before we had the signature experience, and I was walking through this bed and I was like, it just looks like it needs an oomph, right? It needs something extra, because with the signature experience, this is where our guests came through and it was high visibility. And so Mimi and I came through, we added the caladiums, we added the sun patience to really kind of give color and texture to this bed. Next year, I will not do that to that level because, let me come through this way. Because my hydrangeas, these are all pufferfishes in here, and my other shrubs were kind of taking a hit. So you can see, maybe if the sun will cooperate, how all the sun patients were in here, and I want my pufferfish to really kind of fill out and be thick and beautiful. So if I do annuals in here next year, it will be something low. So allow the hydrangeas to really shine in all of their glory. Also thinking, so I have got 2 Apache rose grasses. So I've got one here and I've got one there. This one is not so horribly bad as far as the placement, but even it is kind of interfering with the pufferfish right here. And honestly, I want the pufferfish to be quote, the star of the show in the garden. I want them to take precedence over the grass. And so this one over here is, quote, the worst one, because it is between 2 of these pufferfishes. And y'all, look at this. Do you see that? Yep, it is pulmonaria. I did not plant pulmonaria there. This is a full sun bed. And I have pulmonaria in the forest pansy bed to the left of me, and obviously some seed blew through and it took. So I have got this huge pulmonaria growing right here in the middle of the grass. Now, I will take care of this, not now. If I wanted to take out the grasses and I didn't care about saving them or dividing them or anything like that, like I was going to take them and I was going to chunk them, then this would be a fine time. Go ahead, take them out, dispose of them, compost them, not a problem. However, I don't want to do that. I do want to save these grasses, and I will divide them because they're getting so big. Now is not really the best time to do that with your perennial grasses because we're going into winter, and your perennial grasses love the heat. That's when they have their massive root growth, is more in the heat. So I will do that late winter, early spring. So the kind of the typical time when you are going to go ahead and trim your grasses, because we always trim these perennial grasses, when I trim it, that is the time to go ahead and divide and to move it. So for me, that could be anywhere from like late February into mid-March, right? So we want to try to do it before we get too much of the new growth. You can have some new growth, but we don't want to have it like a full-size grass because then it just makes it harder to move. So I am already thinking this fall of what I'm going to do differently next year. Same thing with the phloxes, probably going to move the phloxes next spring as well. Again, if you want to eliminate them, now's the perfect time to do it. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm simply going to use my shovel, dig up Sunjoy citrus, use my power planter auger to drill a hole in front of the other 2, so we're going to have a little trio right there. I'm not going to prune them right now. We'll wait and do that later on in the season, like late winter going into spring. And then I've got the pansies I want to show you. These are so cute, and they're a beautiful blue. So look at this. Are they not just the happiest little things you ever did see? So these are pansies. They are not violas. This is the Matrix Light Blue. So a beautiful, nice, big, fat face on them that is that lovely blue. Of course, again, we're going to have pink tulips back here in the spring. So the pink and the blue will go really well together. I have 18 of them. Honestly, I don't know exactly where they're going to go. I may dot them through here, and then I'm going to put some way back here. So let's go look at this. Jackson was out and was helping me because if you remember, these two unique stone pieces were what used to be on at our front porch, right in front of the steps. When we redid the steps, it didn't make sense to have them here. So we just kind of stuck them off here to the side. This is a temporary placement, and so just go with it. It's temporary placement, and I had Jackson stand on the other side of the pathway for me and look back. So from over there, they're evenly spaced between the maple. On this side, maybe not so much. Do I care? No. We're going into winter, people. It is fine. So I am going to put Lemon Love Euchera in here. Lemon Love is one of my absolute favorites. It is such a great, great plant. And I thought the chartreuse would be perfect. I did want them to, quote, match. So that's why I have both Lemon Loves in here. And Eucheras do really, really well in containers for me. So if you have a problem with Eucheras in your garden, try putting them in containers. So I am going to take all that soil out, put new soil in, biotone, and then plant them. Eucheras like to have really well draining soil, and especially in the winter in my typically native clay soil, they don't do so well. So in containers though, they do really well. So what I am going to do, move the barberry, plant the pansies, plant the eucheras, and then we will be done for the day. And then I'm going to show you why I am not touching the other two beds in this area. So today's project is complete. I'm trying to keep an eye on Furball over here. She's trying to chase the yellow jackets and trying to keep her from going into the flower bed and destroying what I just worked so hard on doing. Feels good, right? It's cleaned up, it is neat, it is tidy. I got 2 planters done. I got a flat of violas in the ground. There you go. So just a little bit of a transformation. Now, by no means is this flower bed, quote, done. No garden is ever done, my friends, for the fall, right? So I am going to wait until all the leaves off of this red bud fall off. We're almost there, but not quite. So I'm gonna wait for really, and then I've got all my hardwoods. They are still got tons of leaves on them. So it'll be probably, I don't know, late November before I can, quote, really put this bed to guard, this garden to bed. It's almost lunchtime, can you tell? This garden to bed for the fall, winter, because I want to wait for all the leaves to fall, and then I will come back and either compost or mulch, both of them, whatever you know it may be. So the little violas are in. Now y'all, I had a flat of 18 violas, and by no means was I trying to make a huge display of you know, a flower power with the violas. All I was trying to do was to add a little pop of color to this bed for the fall and the winter. Also, little known fact, maybe you do know this, blue is one of the #1 colors for your honeybees and so your pollinators. I've already had little butterflies on here, and the honeybees were coming around me. So if you can plant, if your climate allows that you can plant some, you know, some fall color, then go for it, because you still have honeybees coming out on warm days. So there you go. So they are in the ground and nothing has been watered yet. I'm going to do that after we get off. I said that I was not going to trim the barberries, and I didn't touch the other two, but the one that I did move, because it, bless its little heart, it had been growing up underneath the baptisia and it was really stretching for the sun and growing up through the baptisia. There was a couple of stems that were really long and like they were coming out onto the pathway. So all I did was trim them back. So again, next year, I'm not going to go in here and plant tall annuals. If I plant annuals, they will be low. This way the sun can get to the barberries and turn them that beautiful citrus color that they are known for, that this variety is known for. And planting them this close together will give them like the illusion of one. You can prune your barberries, which I will prune those, but it will be coming out of winter going into spring. I don't think that it really will hurt the barberry to prune it now. They're pretty indestructible, but that's optimally is when you would do it. And then over here, got the lemon loves in the ground with the violas underneath. I put, what, 5 there, right there. And so then there are also some behind here. Now, remember, the violas and the pansies, both of them love the full sun, right? So lots of good sun with them. And so this one right here is currently in the shade, but I'm thinking long term, because very soon this baptisia will go away and this hydrangea will be nothing but sticks, and then it will get that full sun. So I just stuck it there and it will be just fine. Now, why am I not touching these other beds? Well, that's a great question. It is kind of driving me crazy, especially the forest pansy bed. But again, I am going to wait for all of those leaves to fall before I come in here and really kind of get in there to clean up. And as I wait, the temperatures will fall and more of these perennials will begin to go dormant, and then I can come in here and cut things back. Because right now in my eyes, it looks a little jungly, right? There are tons and tons and tons and tons of leaves in here. There will be tons of perennials to cut back because, you know, once we get cold weather, like my ferns, then they get fried, so they need to be cut back. And so we're gonna hold off on this bed until a couple more weeks and let all of those leaves fall. And then finally, the bed that is here at the fountain. Oh my, y'all. So part of me just wants to come in here and rip everything out because it's driving me nuts. But the salvia, this is unplugged So Blue, and there are flowers in here that look absolutely amazing. And I do have pollinators that are still, you know, coming and munching to their little heart's content. There's a little, I don't know if you can see that sweet little bumblebee right there. So there's lots of bumblebees and honeybees that are coming to the salvia and feeding on the salvia. And then the dahlias, yeah. So the dahlias too, they are feeding pollinators because I've got pollinators galore right now flying everywhere. This is, of course, the Virtuoso Pinkerific, and y'all, they're finally actually showing some good signs now. I just blew the leaves off the pathway, but look at that. Aren't they gorgeous? The dahlias do the best in these cooler temperatures of the fall. The summer, they looked awful, but now, my gosh, they are stunning, other than I just put some leaves on them. But the pollinators love them. Like I've got a bumblebee down here feasting on one. And then, of course, you can cut them, right? They make great cut flowers. So they will stay for a little bit longer until I just can't handle it any longer. And then I will go ahead and excavate them for the season. So if you can get out in your garden, whether you got 5 minutes or 5 hours, get out there, get some beautiful sunshine. The vitamin D is so good for you, and the fresh air, mentally, it makes you feel so much better. It feels so good to get this one portion done. And remember, set realistic goals for yourself. If you have the 5 minutes, maybe if you're like, I am going to take this one little section and I'm going to pull the weeds, or I am going to go ahead and pull out the annuals. Sorry, there was a bird on the bird bath. I'm gonna pull out the annuals, or I'm going to trim this, right? So set realistic goals. I am the world's worst of my brain saying, oh, you can do da 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 da, and then the time in my body says, yeah, not so much. So set realistic goals, get out there. You will feel so much better knowing that your garden is being tended to on whatever level that you're able to do that. So I'm gonna hop off of here. I'm gonna get these babies watered, and it's gonna be a great day. As always, if you have found this fun, informative, inspirational, we would love it if you would like and subscribe to Gardening with Creekside. That way you don't miss those 5 videos that we do each and every week. The sun in the wintertime and the fall is so much fun to film with because it's lower in the sky and it can be quite challenging. So y'all bear with me for the next couple of months. We'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, friends.